Right. On FM.com. Here are your hosts, Jake Bakoven and Enrique Alvarez Cleary.
Congratulations, you've made it to lunch hour on Friday. Pat yourself on the back. You're almost there for the weekend. I say it every Friday. Don't really work too much here the rest of your Friday. Your boss probably won't even notice. We are here on the Ticket Water Cooler here.
I mean, they
might notice. But again, just tell them that I said so, and
Oh well, thank goodness. If Box says so,
right,
we're good to go.
And I can't get in any trouble from your boss. I don't work for him.
Yeah,
so,
I don't work for your boss.
Yeah, so it works out perfectly. Of course, we have our tradition on Friday to check out Husker football recruiting. We'll have Bryan Munson of Husker Online and On Free joining us here in the next segment. But for this first segment, we will jump around the sports board a little bit. I got to tell you, I'm pretty excited tonight. If you don't have your SmackDown tickets yet, go get some, because I can't wait to see everybody out there for some professional wrestling, which it's kind of strange. If you follow the wrestling timeline, they've got they had WrestleMania just a few weeks ago, which is the Super Bowl of wrestling. And then a couple of weeks later, Lincoln. It seems kind of strange. And then a couple of weeks later, the next pay-per-view, they're in Puerto Rico. So they've just thought between our Super Bowl,
where was
Puerto Rico? It was in Los Angeles, SoFi Stadium.
Yeah, they're slowly moving.
Yeah.
L.A., Lincoln, Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Are they going to San Juan? Of course, they're going to San Juan. They're not going anywhere else in Puerto Rico. They're going to San Juan.
I'm not sure exactly what
it's definitely in San Juan. That's fine. It's fine.
But it's kind of cool because they're starting their pay-per-views. They're starting to go international a little bit more. So I just kind of thought, and
were they in Dubai at some point, or am I thinking of UFC?
No, yeah, they go to Dubai.
Look at that.
Yeah. But it's kind of strange though, because it for a long time, and maybe I was just kind of out of the loop. It felt like they didn't really come to Lincoln all that often. Every a couple of years they'd come to Omaha.
Mm-hmm.
Now it seems like they've been coming pretty routinely. We went to the Raw episode last summer, right? Yeah. So and now SmackDown has taken over Raw as kind of the A show. They have
have they?
Yeah, because they've got a huge contract with Fox. So SmackDown is kind of the big show. So it's exciting to get that tonight, and I can't wait to.
Raw was on what, TNT or something?
Raw is on USA.
Oh yeah, USA. Yeah. I was gonna say they used to always, and I would always watch Raw. I would never watch SmackDown. Yeah. I was like, Raw is superior. I'm watching Monday Night Raw.
Used to be too,
I don't care about SmackDown. It used to be like Saturday night SmackDown. Now it's Friday night SmackDown. I was like, I'm not watching SmackDown. I don't care. Raw is better than they had the video games. Raw versus SmackDown. I was like, Raw is superior. Has the superior people. Like it's not even a question.
It was, and when I grew up too, I had basic cable, so I only got to watch because SmackDown at that time was like re-aired on some channel that I got. I don't know why, but I couldn't watch Raw. I was envious. They seem to have the bigger, brighter characters like The Rock and Kane and all those guys. I was like, man, I wish I could watch Raw. But now that I can, SmackDown's better.
Dang. Tragic.
No, I
still will never root for SmackDown.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm a Raw guy through and through.
I also thought, I know you're a video game guy. I used to play Raw versus SmackDown. I think it was 2006. And I just thought, this is a great wrestling video game. I don't know if they've ever made one better. And so I just kind of moved on, and now looking back at it, like if I look, because I just Google it the other, I was kind of looking at it. People agreed with me. Apparently, that's kind of like among the greats of the wrestling video games. Also reminded me, because I was kind of thinking through that era, that the college basketball games used to be awful. Just really bad. Like even compared to, well, I'll say it this way. If you're a video game fan, you kind of understand. They kind of fell into the NBA Live category compared to 2K.
Yeah, no, you're
college basketball games were.
Okay, so I'm looking at the games right now. So 2007 with Triple H on the cover, elite.
Yes,
that game was elite. 2010, I didn't play that one. The one with Vince McMahon with the two different eyes, that one was pretty good too. 2008 when they introduced ECW, it's got John Cena, Undertaker, and Bobby Lashley on the cover. That one was pretty good too. 2006 with Batista and John Cena, that one was also just like SmackDown versus Raw. Just all of those games. I don't remember how long I played it, but they were all fantastic. 2009 Triple H and Shawn Michaels. Yes. Sign me up for that one. I loved those games so much. I'd play them all the time.
Yeah, I think it was the Triple H one. Those ones actually really stress your thumb, or you would have to like hit the square button over and over and over again to like get out of a hole or something.
Yeah,
those ones were kind of stressful on your joysticks.
And I don't remember if Raw ever had like a standalone game, but I know SmackDown did. That SmackDown Here Comes the Pain was a good one. SmackDown Shut Your Mouth, that was another one. Like I don't know if Raw ever had their own. I know SmackDown did, and they were both pretty solid. But no, SmackDown versus Raw, elite.
I was sad because when I was a kid too, I didn't have like video game system. So I would get games for the PC, and my PC wasn't always the most up to date. And I remember I got this like Raw game from Shopko. Shopko used to be a thing too.
Oh yeah, shout out to Shopko.
Yeah,
we love Shopko.
I got this game, and it like wouldn't download for whatever reason. So I just was never able to tap into Raw till like it was an adult and could buy basic cable or whatever. But
my grandpa used to work at the now CHI Health Center back when it was the Quest Center.
Oh yes,
like, that's how far back we went.
We're talking about the old times.
Yeah, my grandpa used to work. They worked as like a parking attendant and like security sometimes. And when Raw came and they were recording a show, he got tickets. It was way up in the nosebleeds, like by the stage, but you were like behind it, kind of.
Oh yeah,
like it was way up there. But he got tickets. It was the first one I ever went to. I don't remember what year it was, but that was the first wrestling event I had ever gone to. Probably the first like live sporting event I had ever gone to. Loved it.
Yes.
I don't remember the year. I don't even remember who wrestled, but I remember exactly where I was sitting, and it was so much fun.
Say, when I was a kid, the first one I went to, my dad took me to one with Ric Flair. He was fighting like Sid Vicious or something. It was funny. He was like picking guys out of the audience. But it was kind of funny because at that time, I was like a kid. I was like 8, 9 years old or whatever. And Rey Mysterio Jr. at the time was like on the card. And he was my favorite wrestler. I was excited to see him. And then he got injured or something, so I couldn't see him. And that just kind of stuck with me. I was always like, man, I wish I would have seen Rey Mysterio. And then last year when Rock came, he was there. He's like 60 years old now.
Doesn't matter.
I don't know how old he is. But he looks, I mean, he's as athletic.
You still get it.
Yeah.
So is it really him though? I mean,
they switched.
They could have gotten anybody and put him under the mask.
They used to do that more than they do now, where you would, if a guy left the company, they would just be like, well, that's our character. We'll just have somebody else play.
Yeah, they're like, and now it's this person. And it's like, no, that's not right.
Yeah. What do they call that when you get something that's like worse off? It's
you
like
get the Walmart version.
Walmart version
yeah.
of
The
Diesel.
what is it? What is that Walmart brand? Whatever it is.
George? I always get the George. If I'm at Walmart. Yeah, so fun stuff with SmackDown. I can't wait for that. A lot of us, a few of the ticket personalities will be there, so you can kind of look out for DP. Chris Raff are going to be there on the floor. So
just look for the biggest guy.
Yeah, Chris Raff could probably go in there.
Look for the biggest guy in the crowd, and that's Raff.
Yeah,
not wide, big, tall, big.
Yes, he could fit. He could fit in right in there.
He could be a wrestler.
Yeah.
I can see Raph being a wrestler. He'd need to work on his mic presence.
You think so? Well, he's doing that now.
I know. I don't know if he can go off the fly and just come up with something. I don't know.
Raph would be good with AD could be his manager.
Yeah.
Raph
doesn't talk.
Yeah.
He's just a big scary guy.
Raph has the mask on like Kane. He can't talk.
And he just stands there menacingly.
Oh. I used to do this too with wrestling whenever they would come to town is kind of have our own like ticket fantasy who would win a wrestling match here. And I think, it's kind of funny. I've said this before. It used to be like, well, maybe Mike Schaefer might be able to, and now it's like, well, we've got like Jay Foreman would probably.
Yeah. Before we had the former athletes in here, it was like, well, I don't know. People can be a run for your money. No, you've got Jay, you've got Terrell, you've got VJ, Strick. It's no.
It'd be a pretty good.
I think
a pretty good Royal Rumble.
Jay, honestly, obviously VJ would be able to be more of the talker, but I think Strick and Jay would make some pretty solid wrestlers.
Well, if we're now can include Amon Green, that would be interesting. But Adam Carricker especially.
100%.
He's plugged into the wrestling scene.
I mean,
he takes over the league. I think.
That's
Jay.
That's his thing.
I mean, he had the biggest arms in the NFL there for a minute.
It would have been for me. The order would have been before Carricker was added: Strick, Jay, VJ, Raff.
Yes.
Terrell would be fun to watch, but
he'd hit the spear.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if he could cut a promo very well.
No. Well, it's kind of funny too because we talk about it and we can think how great it would be, and if we actually ran through it, it'd be sloppy.
100%. It would not be the best.
Pretty much a mess. It just amazed me too, and I know, all this stuff is choreographed, but how they remember all that stuff, I'm still kind of just, they have matches for like 12 minutes long. And
it's impressive.
Like 8 minutes and 30 seconds in, like, remember, this is what we have to do. I know they practice and stuff, but it is kind of impressive.
I watched something. I don't remember what wrestler they're talking about, but they're like, this guy was like, for short matches, was just elite. But when they actually asked him to like do like a long drawn out match with somebody, you could just tell he was not up to the task. I don't remember who it was though, but I was just watching the whole thing and watching the match that they were talking about. I was like, oh yeah, it's sloppy.
Well, that's what they do even with Brock Lesnar, and he's been around. He's been around it for 20 years, so he can put in a long match. But some of those kind of the guys that overwhelm you physically, they prefer those guys just to be like, all right, you look more powerful if you beat somebody in 60 seconds with 2 moves. Than if
you're really big, just take a couple hits, but then you get up and you just overwhelm them with force, and you're good to go.
What do you think the odds are we see the announcer's desk being used tonight?
I love when the announcer's desk gets smashed. It's always a fun time.
Happens like every episode, though.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
You don't think
it's not gonna happen. Not in Lincoln.
Holding it out in Lincoln.
Not in Lincoln. They'll do it in Puerto Rico. Yeah. What happened here in Lincoln?
How about a chair shot?
100% a chair.
We're gonna get some chair shot tonight. Yeah.
Do you think
tables? Maybe.
Do you think a corn cob gets used?
No, this is something they do. I said do.
Do.
Yeah. Something that they will do is provoke the Nebraska crowd. Last time they did it, and I've said this before, I listened to the Wink podcast, Wrestling Inc., to fall asleep. I don't know what it is. Something about these guys talking about wrestling puts me to bed like a baby.
You're a weird guy.
I'm a weird guy. But when I listened to them, and last time they came, I think that was that Raw again last summer. They made some joke, or they jeered Nebraska one way or the other. I think it was the Miz, and on that podcast, like, they were confused by it. They're like, they must have been like near campus or something, because they really didn't like the jabbing at Nebraska. They were like confused. They just thought there was some other reason that I guess maybe that is special for students or something. And I was like, they don't understand.
No, that's it.
You're in Lincoln.
If you start making fun of Nebraska, people are going to fight you. That's right. Sorry about it.
We all care about our
how dare you
team, not just the students. That will be fun. I'm sure there will be a Nebraska joke. We decided yes on chairs.
At the expense of Scott Frost?
Ooh, no.
Is Scott Frost under Scott Frost, or not over under? Frost. Is Scott Frost's name going to be used today by one of the wrestlers? Or will it be implied?
What will be the jab? Will it be just, used to
It'll be football related.
It might be like hey, they'll bring out a has-been and be like, yeah, you're, get something
like that.
As good as Nebraska or whatever.
Something like that.
Yeah.
They'll make fun of Nebraska football somehow.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
That's a good way to get your heel some heat.
Yep. There you go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So that'll be fun. Can't wait for that tonight. We better take a break. We do have Bryan Munson coming up on the show. We'll run down some Nebraska football recruiting. We'll always get our update on Dylan Raiola. Also, I thought it was interesting, and I wanted to ask him how it changes now that the NCAA is going to allow recruits to take as many official visits as they would like, to as many schools, I should say. Ooh. It used to be restricted to 5. Now it's up to you. So we'll ask kind of how that affects Nebraska and Matt Rule moving forward. With Bryan Munson of Husker Online and On 3. Coming up next year on the Take a Water
Cooler. Lincoln Earth Day is on Saturday, April 15th at UNL's Innovation Campus. Green vehicles, local foods, picnic, and fun family-friendly activities from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Sponsored by Johanna Rhodes Real Estate. More event details at rhoadshomes.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here with Koppel Chevrolet GMC. It's Truck Month at Koppel, and we are pulling out all the stops for this gigantic event. The lots are starting to fill. We have some great deals for you waiting in Louisville. Brand new GMC Sierra Light Duty and new Silverado Light Duty trucks. All trim levels have up to $4,000 in discounts. That's right, up to $4,000 off all new light duty trucks right now at Koppel. So do not wait. Now is the time to buy a new truck. So stop on in or visit us online at koppelcars.com. You must have a trade-in and finance with Koppel. All deals with Roof Credit.
If your home isn't delivering the year-round comfort you expect, call the experts at Bryant. Warm and cool, comfort and confidence. Bryant Air Conditioning and Heating. Call 467-1111.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric is the call I make when I have a need for plumbing services. Whether it's for my home or office, if I need a repair to a water heater, softener, or even my garbage disposal, I know I can count on Action to help. In one simple call, their amazing customer service team promptly schedules a service call, often getting to my needs within a day. Action delivers honest quality services we can count on. To learn more, visit actionlincoln.com.
At first, I was really nervous and intimidated by a ring. I wasn't sure what I was getting into.
My experience at Starter Heyman was very easy. I felt like I walked out of Starter Heyman with the ring that was going to make her go wow and say yes.
I love my ring. It is so beautiful.
I absolutely love my ring. I get compliments on it all the time. I always tell them Starter Heyman.
Yeah, we would definitely recommend Starter Heyman.
Yeah, it was great.
We're definitely coming back.
For sure.
Sutter Heyman Jewelers, Lincoln and Grand Island. SutterHeyman.com.
You've driven by GE Landscape Supply countless times, likely without even knowing it. 6701 Cornersker Highway. But now it's time to stop in. GE Landscape Supply sells to homeowners and contractors with a vast selection of landscaping and construction material. They sell in bulk to save money, buying anything from a 5-gallon bucket to a semi-load. They deliver anywhere, and if you mention you heard this ad on 93.7 The Ticket, they'll deliver in town for free through the month of April with some restrictions applying. Go to gelandscapesupply.com for more info or call 402-467-1627.
Hey, it's Nicklin Hames from Nebraska Volleyball. I hate time in practice, and I want to help you stop wasting your time when you're looking for an electrician. High Electric has been serving the area for over 30 years for both residential and commercial properties. They are experts in everything like remodeling, new additions, hot tub installation, and more. And they take us from Beatrice to Omaha and all towns, big or small, in between. Call them today at 402-466-6606 or learn more at high-electric.com.
Nebco is hiring CDL drivers for Ready Mix Concrete, Husker Concrete, and Beatrice Concrete. Nebco offers great pay, medical, and retirement benefits, paid time off, and we pay for CDL training. Apply today to earn an average total compensation of $50,000 to $60,000 your first year driving. From Nebco's beginnings in 1908, it's the employees who form the company's solid foundation. Start your career today. Visit nebcoinc.com. That's NEBCOINC.com.
Hi, everyone. Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. Spring is here. Summer is fast approaching. With weddings, vacations, and weekend getaways on your mind, do not let car issues prevent you from getting where you need to be. Car problems shouldn't be something you put up with. Let us get you back on the road in comfort and safety. We diagnose all makes and models from Porsches to Hondas, Toyotas, and Chevrolets. We fix a variety of issues with all of them with our talented techs and our experienced staff. A1 Automotive at 11th and L, downtown Lincoln, always honest answers.
Back to the Ticket Water Cooler on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We are back here on the Ticket on 93.7 The Ticket on the Ticket Water Cooler, and we love to do something every Friday, which is bring on Bryan Munson and get caught up on Husker recruiting in general, especially today, because there are some interesting things going on. Bryan, how's it going today?
I'm doing great, guys. How are you?
We're doing fantastic, Bryan. It's amazing weather up here.
We almost touched 90 down here. It sounds like you guys were really close yesterday, and then kind of overcast today, but I think the precipitation staying out. I think the weather shift, and I'm hoping for a southern breeze because I'm coming to the motherland tomorrow. So I will be driving up 35 tomorrow. So that'll be I would really like it with the gas prices. We could use a little.
Yeah, no, we had, I think it was like 14 degrees or something last week. It was 89 yesterday, and they say that it's possibly going to snow over the weekend. So
welcome to Nebraska.
Yeah, it's fine.
Bryan, before we get into the recruiting talk, we're just talking because WWE SmackDown is in Lincoln tonight, and I'm excited to go. I wanted to know, do you have a favorite wrestler from any era, I suppose?
I was always a Goldberg fan in college. I'd say like the stuff like when I got really, really involved, Coco Beware, the Birdman, Jimmy Superfly Snuka, I mean, I'm going way
Oh
back
yeah.
now in that time frame. But yeah, those were. I wasn't ever really a WCW guy, and it was more of a WWF. And then I really came to appreciate, obviously, Ric Flair and the Four Horsemen. But those were probably the first WCW guys I really liked.
Nice. You name dropping some guys there. I didn't know if you were a big wrestling fan. Somebody asked that question, and you hope they can put together like a Undertaker or something. But you got some good names there.
He's got it.
Yeah.
Too many hobbies as a kid.
Yeah. Well, it's good. Like, did you have one of those wrestling buddies? Did you ever get one of those guys? You like, looks like a Hulk Hogan or something, and beat him up.
My brother asked for one for Christmas one year, and then I think my mom just deemed that it was going to turn into a fighting contest between he and I, so we just wrestled each other. So that was fine.
That's fair enough. A brother is even better. They can fight back.
Exactly.
All right, let's jump into recruiting here with Bryan Munson of Husker Online and On3. We'll get into Husker specific here in a second, but it's kind of interesting that kind of in the recruiting world today, the NCAA is announcing that starting July 1st, there will be no limits on amount of official visits a recruit can take, where prospects previously could make official visits only to 5 schools. What kind of impact is that going to have on Nebraska? Do you think that this is going to affect a lot of recruits, or do you think this is just a few of them?
I think it's a few. I mean, look, you've got to manage this still somehow, and the NCAA is not changing the number of official visits that a school has. So you get only like 54 a year. So you're still stuck with that number. So if you're bringing a guy in for his 12th official visit, there's a kind of a law of diminishing returns coming into play there, right? Like where there's probably not a great likelihood that you can get a guy. However, I think where this kind of comes into, this kind of comes up here a little bit is that you get those late coaching changes, and somebody would have loved to have taken an official visit to go check out so-and-so at whatever school, but they've already taken their 5 and they can't really do anything about it now because they can't travel and put it on their own dime. And I think Nebraska is going to see this a little bit differently. They're in that risk taker kind of scenario, and here's why I say that. They always want recruits to come to Lincoln. There's really no downside. I mean, whether outside of that, and like the frozen tundra potentially bringing a kid up from Florida and showing them that in December, I get that. But I mean, if you're talking about really like bringing a guy in because you didn't think you could get this guy to visit, and now that you've got this guy to visit, you think that there's a chance. I think that's going to come up, a handful of times. I don't think it's going to be the exception. And some of these guys now, they're only doing 3, maybe 4 official visits in June, and they're coming off the board in July. Everything is moving left. I mean, all of it is just moving left. I mean, you're going to have earlier time for the coaches now, within the high school, like in the high school, to be able to talk to these guys that typically like you could just bump into them, and I'm kind of doing the air quotes, but now you can actually talk to the recruits. So I think that there's some good changes, but this one here, it's going to be less about, I think, how many visits a guy could potentially take, like just go out there and seal up every single weekend to get out of town, versus the coaches that have to manage their official visits that they're allocating and make sure that they're not, giving it to a guy that's not really serious in Nebraska, just wants to get out of town for a weekend. So that I think that's going to be something that they're smart enough to kind of figure all that stuff out.
So with the addition of the unlimited official visits for these players, that, like you were just mentioning, that's kind of good for some of these guys, even if a lot of them aren't taking as many official visits. But from a university side of things, the official visit, universities spending their own dime to get these kids up here to outfit them and what have you. So how much more of a recruiting budget are some of these universities going to have to put forward if they bring in more kids?
Well, if you've only got the 54, then you're still pretty locked in on the number. Now, I don't recall a year, maybe last year was as close as it ever got, to bringing in 54 total visitors. If I went back to like Cameron Lenhart, Lenhart had a little pressure, like trying to get out early signing period, and was already committed secretly to Nebraska. He had a school that was really trying to get him to commit sight unseen because they had no more official visits. That's the first time I've ever had to report that. I can't recall another time that a school said, "Hey, dude, we're done. We hit 54. Like we hit our allocation. We're out." That's a pretty unusual thing to have happen. But I think as things are kind of going here, and this is maybe to your point still, because you're still talking about at least getting closer to that 54 number. The NCAA has also backed off, adding more than 25 players in a calendar year to your roster. So because you've got that attrition with the portal, you need to get back up to 85, etc. So I think at least with that dynamic, you could get a lot closer to doing and supporting 54, which would drive additional budget in there that obviously Nebraska will have to carefully review. But I think ultimately, when you bring in, your guests every single time you come into town as well. So it definitely will drive up the cost here a little bit. But I think, you always have that hard cap of 54, and unless the NCAA says we're taking the top off of that too, realistically, I think that the athletic department will be prepared for that part of it.
Do you know whether there's some sort of pressure, or what do you think kind of came about with this change?
I think that some of these guys, some of these coaches probably have had it happen that, you've got a player that's a good player, and he takes 2 or 3 official visits in the month of June, and, he ends up committing to some sort of a group of 5 school, maybe a little Power 5 school, and realistically, it paid for those schools basically to do their due diligence. They got a great player, and then the top blows off of this kid. And this kid now is starting, and he has a terrific senior year. He's getting invited now to the U.S. Army All-American game. He backs off his commitment, but he only has two remaining official visits left, and went from 3 offers to 30. And now all of a sudden you go, I wouldn't have played my hand the way that I played it, in June, but you do the best with the information at hand. And I think that has to still kind of move forward. And this is where kind of the musical chairs and only having so many, chairs in the class kind of come into play, because those players, those recruits feel a little pressure. They may go ahead and jump on Louisiana Lafayette, not to pick on the Cajuns at all, but I'm just bringing them up. But if that guy felt great about that school, he wouldn't question that. If come August, come September, whenever these other additional offers come flying in. But it does happen that then Georgia or Alabama or North Carolina or whatever else comes flying in, and you go, I have to reconsider what's going on with my situation now.
Excellent breakdown of that. We read the headline and kind of discussed it and kind of confused by it, but you cleared a lot of that up. I did want to ask too about Ashton Murphy, of course, the third recruit for Nebraska in this class. What is Nebraska getting out of Ashton Murphy?
I really like Ashton. 6'5", 240-pound-ish guy that Nebraska's talking about him playing a 3 technique, and he's got to add some size to do that. But this is a guy that's got great length. Kind of reminds me of like a Jeremy Slechta, which is kind of going back a little ways. I think that he's got a great motor. I think he plays long and tall. Slechta could do that in the trenches and get his hands up, and he can really be disruptive and eat up a lot of space. But I think what you have to like about Murphy is that if you can get him into a system and you can put 35, 45 pounds on a guy like that, and you can then project him out. So if you're really thinking that that's what he needs to add to get down to a 3 technique to a defensive tackle, if he can keep that athleticism that he has and that motor that he has, well, then you can start moving him to the left and outside. So maybe now he can become an odd front defensive end and put him in a 4 technique, or maybe there's some even front 4-3 stuff that we want to run a 4-eye, which is inside the offensive tackle, and that dude's kind of special. I mean, you got to be a little bit special there when you going to line up in the 4-eye of an offensive tackle. But then you've also got like your 5 technique, and you move him out to a 7. I don't think he could get out to a 9 if he was running at 285. But I think 5 into a 3 with a couple positions in between, and it really says a lot, I think, about him. And you heard it, from Coach White actually earlier this week when it came down to talking about versatility and being versatile along that defensive line. That's going to pay off for Ashton. Ashton has got that length. He's got athleticism. He's got a frame that he can add a lot of weight to. And if he can keep that athleticism, he could be a factor from a 3 out to a 7, basically just saying to the Nebraska staff, we don't need to take this guy off the field. We can do a number of different things with him on the field. So I think it's a great fit for Ashton Murphy, and I think that Nebraska's getting a really good one.
Now I was talking with Charles Farley too. He's a little bit concerned about only having 3 recruits at this time. Is that low on the low end usually, or is there any reason to be concerned of that?
I understand the concern. I was concerned about it, but if you go out and you look at like USC, I think USC only has 1. It's a really weird time, and I think that the commitment for you to start to move left because you had 3 guys from this Tuesday weekend came off the board to other schools. Sprague, Ginther, Heiberger, they all committed to other places. And I think that's got to be a data point that Nebraska has to realize. So as they get kind of into the next year's cycle, they have to understand, hey, this March 25th date, maybe the last time I have a chance to host these guys on campus before they decide, a handful of these guys decide that they want to go ahead and come off the board. And I think that part of this, to Terrell's point, I think that this is another part here. It's very important that Nebraska got a guy in state into the class because I've been thinking that Ashton Murphy was probably the most possible guy because you start talking about Nelson and Hall and Bing and McMorris and even Pipedrum. And I just didn't feel like any of those guys were ready to kind of, wrap up their process and go to Nebraska. But it felt like Murphy, things were accelerating. He was just coming back from Iowa, just came back from Air Force, had seen Colorado before. The time was getting there, I think, for him in his process. I think it's a good fit. I think it's a good timing for him, but I'm a little bit concerned. And honestly, I don't know, out of the guys that we have listed for our spring game, I don't know if there's many more commitments like on that list necessarily either. So I'm just kind of interested to see like what the total in the class is going to be coming into June when they start official visits.
I also want to ask about kind of the Bellevue West group out there. Davon Hall, Isaiah McMorris, obviously Daniel Kalen committed to Missouri. There's not much of a question there, but would it be? I mean, I don't know where Nebraska is with Hall or McMorris, but I mean, would it be a pretty significant bad look, I suppose, if Nebraska goes 0 for 3 there?
Yes. You've had plenty of people nationally that know the name Davon Hall, and McMorris had a huge junior year, and just this USC, and maybe possibly picked up an offer. It doesn't sound like that's been kind of confirmed yet or not. But I think that would be it would not be a good look. I think if Nebraska missed there and also maybe potentially then missed on Raiola, and then you don't have Kalen, and then of course you got my mind's going completely blank. She just had a really cool article about Oklahoma State and their spring practice and what's going on down there with their quarterback that they got from Gretna.
Yes,
I feel like that would be a little bit difficult for people to kind of overlook because I think Hall has been recognized as being the top, if not the top, then the second best player in the state of Nebraska for a while. McMorris is challenging him, and you got Keelan that obviously didn't feel like he needed to wait around for Nebraska to hear about Raiola because he had great enough options to go ahead and make his own decision with where he was at. So yeah, I think it's something that it could be potentially a very bad optic.
2 more questions for you as we'd like to borrow your time here. Carter Nelson, I've been seeing him talk about you mentioned McMorris going out on a pretty impressive visit there. Couldn't help but notice Carter Nelson's been
everywhere.
And taking a really cool picture.
Yeah, he's been everywhere. He's been to Tennessee, Auburn, Alabama, Georgia. I would fully expect him to take a West Coast swing. He will also visit USC, UCLA, Oregon, probably get over, maybe even do like a Washington as well. And then, of course, he's got offers now from A&M and Texas. So I do anticipate him taking a trip down here to the Lone Star State and checking that out too. So I think the trips are very, very impressive there with Carter. I know that I got plenty of phone calls from the Alabama guys that were excited about him being on campus and what they're hearing about him. So I think Nebraska fans should be holding their breath a little bit about him and the amount of attention that he's drawing nationally.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, they're really talented class this year. And just it doesn't seem to be locked for Nebraska. Of course, getting Ashton Murphy certainly helps there. Last question, we have to do it every week. Any update on Dylan Raiola?
I know that there was some confusion over the Easter weekend about a picture getting posted by a teammate that thought that maybe he might have come back up to Nebraska in April. He didn't. That picture was from the March 25th junior date. In fact, I know that he was vacationing in Florida during that time. Nothing really new like on the recruiting scene. I think that really he wanted to take the month of April. I think it's kind of a time to recollect and think about what's kind of going on with the process. I think that that's one of the reasons why additional official visits haven't been set up for him either. If you look on the list, all you see is an official visit for Georgia. I wouldn't draw too many conclusions around that. I think that a lot of these guys typically like to set up visits based on when other guys are going to be coming to town. And usually that has to be kind of pulled all together and make sure it works out for a majority of the guys that they're trying to do that with. So I would let that one be for now. I do expect Nebraska to get an official visit. But beyond that, no other updates. It sounds like he's staying pretty radio silent and just kind of working on himself during the month of April.
Well, if there's no update, we'll still ask you about it next week because
100%. That's just how it goes.
Yeah, just want to know.
So be ready.
Good. I'll try to have a different answer for you guys next week.
Yeah, be ready to put together a different set of words to say no update.
No comment.
He's Bryan Munson of Husker Online and on 3. So once again, Bryan, for taking time out of your day to update us on the Nebraska recruiting rule.
Have a great weekend. We'll see you soon.
All right, we will. Thanks, you too. There he goes, Bryan Munson of Husker Online and on 3. We will take a break, and we'll be right back. More sports talk here on 93.7 The Ticket.
At first, I was really nervous and intimidated by a ring I was getting into.
My experience at Starter Heyman was very easy. I felt like I walked out of Starter Heyman with the ring that was going to make her go wow and say yes.
I love my ring. It is so beautiful.
I absolutely love my ring. I get compliments on it all the time. I always tell them Starter Heyman.
Yeah, we would definitely recommend Starter Heyman.
Yeah, it was great.
We're definitely coming back.
Sure.
Starter Heyman Jewelry, Lincoln and Grand Island. StarterHeyman.com.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn. Let you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service, bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. Doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off. Mention this and for sure you'll be proud you called. 402-488-8934. HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
If you want to make new floor shopping easier, come to O Street Carpet. Hi, I'm Steve Carpet. Our flooring professionals can help you choose the best flooring for you, your family, and your budget. We eliminate the confusion. Even better, you'll be enjoying your new flooring much sooner. No 6 or 8 week waits. Install right away and save money on installation. Floor shopping made easy every day at O Street Carpet. 1732 O Street, family owned and operated, always the best value.
Dana Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Dana Trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Dana Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today. Great team culture at Dana Trucking. Learn more and apply today at danatrucking.com.
The Empire brand is growing with ESC fabrication and sandblasting. ESC is your place for custom handrails, industrial and commercial painting, and more. ESC provides custom welding for aluminum and stainless steel, and media blasting of all sorts. ESC has great attention to detail. They stick to deadlines within your budget. If you can dream it, they can make it. Contact ESC Fabrication and Sandblasting in Waverly today at 531-207-9329.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric brings exciting career opportunities for you or someone you know. They are now hiring plumbers, electricians, and HVAC techs and installers to continue to build a professional team. They offer competitive pay and full benefit packages that include health, dental, vision, PTO, and 401k options. Action has created a positive team environment for over 50 years. Apply online at Action Link.
WWE Friday Night Lincoln's Pinnacle Bank Arena, 6:45 this Friday. I am back. You'll see Drew McIntyre, Braun Strowman, Charlotte Flair, Sami Zayn, and more. And from Monday Night Raw, the OC Smokehouse and Carl Anderson face the Judgment Day's Damian Priest and Dominic Mysterio, and more. Tickets start at $20. Available now at Ticketmaster.
Experience the Landmark difference with the next level of support. Landmark, your local John Deere dealer, really works to have parts on hand the first time you walk in the door. Our internal route system means we can get the parts to you typically same or next day to keep you up and running. At Landmark, we understand time is money. Get more uptime with our after-hours parts and service support on the phone or in the field. Our sales, precision ag, parts, and service teams are ready to serve you this planning season. Stop by your local Landmark today to experience the Landmark difference.
There's a lot of realtors at Lincoln, but don't get overwhelmed by all the names. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realtor Group at Berkshire Hathaway Ambassador Real Estate is your go-to option when buying or selling residential and commercial property. Ben's team offers unbeatable customer service and promises to make the buying and selling process as stress-free as possible. Call Ben today at 402-419-6309 for all your real estate needs. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group at Berkshire Hathaway Ambassador Real Estate. No pressure, just professionalism.
If you're in Lincoln, Waverly, or the surrounding area, listen up. Select Plumbing gets it right the first time on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate at 402-560-6197. Plus, they're hiring service plumbers. If you're in Lincoln, Waverly, or the surrounding area, contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
The captain, Vershawn Jackson.
Heisman Trophy winner Eric Cross. What's the game when you truck the guy?
Iowa. That play right there was all about me saying, this is my job. Because I was in a QB battle with Bobby Newton at that time. Actually, I shouldn't have been playing quarterback that game. I was playing receiver. I think they were trying to keep me a little bit happy, and they put me in at QB. We had scored, and I think the coaches kind of like looked at each other like, we might have to put him in like another. So, I mean, I think I don't know that I came out the game a whole lot. We ended up winning 42-7. But again, I was just being me. That's how I play the game.
Back to the Ticket Water Cooler on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We're back here on the Ticket Water Cooler on 97 The Ticket. And Rico informs me over the break that Gerald McCoy is officially retiring from the NFL, which means we can finally put it to an end. And Dominican Sue was better than Gerald McCoy. Gerald McCoy, of course, didn't play too much this past year. I think he's had one game in Las Vegas. Dominican Sue also didn't play too much. Their careers are both kind of coming to an end. But if you remember in 2010, that draft, that was kind of the big talk there. They're both the two top three picks.
Who do you take first overall?
Yeah, who would you take? And of course, they obviously both came from the Big 12, so there was a talk all year about which guy to take. And I think at the end of the day, we can agree Dominican Sue was better than Gerald McCoy. Though Gerald McCoy, very good career, ended up. I think it had 6 Pro Bowls for Gerald McCoy. So not a bad year or year for him. But Dominican Sue overall had 3 first-team All-Pros. McCoy only had 1. So take that, Gerald McCoy in Oklahoma. The argument is set.
I'm trying to think. Sue has a Super Bowl.
Yep.
Does Gerald?
Gerald does not. So Gerald's going to finish here with 1 first-team All-Pro in 2013, 2 second-team All-Pros in 2014 and 2016, 6 Pro Bowls altogether from 2012 to 2017, and that's his career accomplishments. Then he had some college, he's a first-team All-American in 2009. But very good career. Finishes with 59.5 sacks. Had a stretch there 3 years in a row where he had at least 8.5 sacks, finishes with 334 total tackles. And Ndamukong Suh is Gerald McCoy more of your traditional defensive tackle. Suh a little bit more mobile. Had a lot more tackles altogether, but. Yeah, I just always thought, and I thought that was close for a while. The reason why I bring it up is because it wasn't just that draft. Like I said, McCoy had quite a run, and Suh was really one of the most dominant defensive linemen early in his career there with Detroit. So I was always kind of fascinated with that debate going back and forth. I think Suh's had the lead here as of late. Now that it's over, Suh is the winner.
Sue wins.
Yep, but he is
because Sue's not retired yet.
Suh's not retired. He is interesting to me if he's going to be Hall of Famer because he's kind of
Ndamukong Suh or Gerald McCoy?
Ndamukong Suh. I don't think Gerald McCoy will quite make it.
I think Suh gets in, but I don't know. I don't think it's first ballot.
It's definitely not first ballot.
Maybe like third.
Yeah, third year.
Yeah, his third year on the ballot. I think that's when he'll get in.
Yeah, and his name. I mean, you were to say off the field. It was on the field reasons.
Yeah,
not football on the field reasons. And Ndamukong Suh's name obviously carried a lot of weight, especially with Detroit early on, and even as late as this year. He's kind of a dirty player. We know that.
Just a smidge.
Yeah. But yeah, I think he's just kind of in that borderline. I mean, he's been a 5-time Pro Bowler. Every time doing so, he when he had those dominating seasons, he was first team All-Pro 3 times, second team All-Pro twice. This was all in a run from 2010 to 2016, with the exception of the year 2011. And then, since then, kind of interesting just how his career has played out. I've got a buddy that's a Miami Dolphins fan that was obviously not too happy with his tenure with the Dolphins.
That was a money grab.
Because it was. I mean, they paid a lot of money for Ndamukong Suh. He didn't quite have the numbers or wasn't quite the player that he was in Detroit there, seemingly. And but at the same time, I still feel like, dude, you can't complain. I don't care if he was bad with the Cardinals. I'd have like 1,000 Ndamukong Suh jerseys.
100%. 100%. Every different iteration of a jersey, I would probably have.
Yeah.
But just getting off of Suh and just looking at this 2010 draft, we talk about the SEC's dominance in the draft and how many first-round picks they have. The top 10 in that draft, the first 4 were from the Big 12. Number 6 was from the Big 12. So they had the top 10, 5 from the Big 12. Only 3 SEC. But they were pretty good. Eric Berry, Joe Hayden, and Rolando McClain.
Oh, yeah. Those are some pretty good.
But the Big 12, Sam Bradford, number 1. Suh, McCoy, Trent Williams.
There you go.
3 Oklahoma in the top 5. Russell Okung, Oklahoma State. And that's your Big 12.
Yeah.
That's a pretty solid list right there.
It's been a while. Russell played. I was just kind of thinking, when's the last time Russell Okung was playing? He was playing with the Panthers in 2020, but he's been since then. I think most of these 2010 draft guys are probably about to wrap it up.
Trent Williams is still playing.
Trent Williams still playing at a very high level, yeah.
Joe Hayden, I don't think is playing anymore. CJ Spiller, I don't believe is playing anymore. I'm just going through all these players. Is Ryan Matthews still playing running back? No, he's not playing.
I don't believe so.
Earl Thomas isn't playing. Jason Pierre-Paul played last year.
Yeah.
He might still be playing, but I doubt it.
Mike Iupati still in the league?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I haven't heard that name in a minute.
Rest in peace to Demarius Thomas.
Yeah, that's true.
Number 22. Number 22 pick.
Same draft as Tim Tebow.
Des Bryant.
Des Bryant, that's a good name.
Oh, Devin McCourty. He just retired.
Yeah.
Oh, remember Jav? Oh my, we're just going through the 2010 draft. Do you guys remember Javid Best?
Oh yes.
Oh my goodness, he gave himself a concussion jumping into the end zone. At Cal. He jumped over a pile of people, landed on his head, and he got stiff. Gave himself a concussion.
It's weird because there was that was kind of the era with Deshaun Jackson as well. There was a time when California football was pretty good.
Oh yeah. Oh, Dexter McCluster. This is a name. That's a name.
I thought he was going to be great.
Aurelius Ben, Remember that guy?
Oh, yeah.
From Illinois? Yeah. Rob Gronkowski in the second round. Rob Gronkowski was in this draft. I forget about that. Lamar Houston. Look at this. This was a great draft. Taylor Mays. Wasn't he the guy that dropped the bench press on his neck?
He might
The
be. He's a
safety
pretty
from
darn-
USC?
Yeah, I remember he's a pretty darn good safety.
Yeah.
Jimmy
Toby Gerhart.
You skipped Jimmy Clausen.
I did. So why am I going to mention Jimmy? I'm not going to
Clausen.
mention Jimmy Clausen.
I love Jimmy Clausen.
I'm not going to mention Jimmy Clausen. Sean Lee would have been really good if he stayed healthy.
Oh, Terrence Cody was like 400 pounds.
Mount Cody. He
Yeah.
blocked a field goal for Alabama. I think it was that year. He blocked a field goal, like a game-winning field goal from another team. Might have been Auburn. Mount Cody. That was a good one.
Yes.
Vladimir Dukas. Great name.
Golden Tate. That was a good receiver.
Brandon Spikes. Dirty Brandon Spikes.
Oh,
He gouged
Brandon
tried to
Spikes.
gouge somebody's eyes out.
Yeah, no Sean Marino. I remember that.
Was that no Sean Marino?
Yeah, I was in a pile with George at the Georgia game.
This is fun. This is fun. We should keep doing this. We should do this every once in a while. Emmanuel Sanders was in this draft.
Nice.
All the way in the third round at SMU.
So was Eric Decker. Golden Gopher.
Yeah, there you go. Well, Jordan Shipley and Cole McCoy went back to back. Cincinnati and Cleveland. Too bad neither of them had a really good career.
How
Cole
about
McCoy's still playing though. He's with your Arizona
That's
Cardinals.
right.
He's probably gonna be the starter next season.
By the way, Trace McSorley update for my former Cardinal, now a Patriot.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, no Trace McSorley.
He is
One of
not
my
gonna see the
favorite
field.
Big Ten. No, he won't. He probably won't make the team, but he's one of my favorite Big Ten quarterbacks since Nebraska's joined.
Navarro Bowman.
Oh, there's a good name.
Man. This was a great draft. My
Jimmy Graham in
goodness.
the third round.
Yeah, you get Jimmy Graham in the third round. You're doing something right.
It's pretty good.
This is fun. Aaron Hernandez in the fourth round.
Oh, remember when Joe McKnight was supposed to be great, like the next Reggie
Yes,
Bush
he was supposed to
at
be that
USC?
guy.
How about Philip Dillard in the fourth round out of Nebraska?
Goodness gracious.
Good pick.
Shout out to Phil Dillard.
Yes.
Cam Chancellor in the fifth round.
No, there's a good pick.
That's a great one right there. Yeah, yes, we're going through the 2010 draft. Don't judge us.
All we need is some small excuse.
As soon, you get me going through here, all of a sudden we're going Larry Asante in the fifth round.
Oh, he was great.
Isn't Larry Asante coaching
He's coaching somewhere.
a community college in Kansas? He's coming up for the spring game.
Yeah, that's right. How about your former punter Zoltan Mesko?
Oh, Ted Mesko. That is a name I haven't heard in years.
I know.
He was great. Shout out to Zoltan Mesko.
John Skelton started a playoff game for the Cardinals. Ugh, that was
Antonio
bad.
Brown, sixth round.
Oh, good pick.
That's a great pick for Pittsburgh. Except for everything afterwards.
It's still a great pick.
At the time, it was a great pick.
How about Greg Hardy in the sixth round? Another guy that great pick, but
Stuff happened. some stuff happened later.
Yeah.
And now we're reaching the seventh round, and I'm not
You don't recognize him.
nah, buddy.
Yeah.
Not much going on in the old noggin with these guys.
Seventh round, 2010 draft.
Yep.
We've exposed
So the final guy in the draft, Tim Toon, wide receiver, Weber State.
Tim Toon.
Tim Toon, Detroit Lions, Mr. Irrelevant.
I was trying to look at. I always like the undrafted guys.
I don't know if Kent's being serious or not. It's tons of fun. Keep going.
No, this is fun. I'm having fun.
Are you
I don't
serious?
care if you get. Is this good radio? I'm not sure, but it's fun for me.
It's fun for us.
How about Alejandro Villanueva? He was an undrafted guy.
Was he really?
Yeah, I guess so. At Army.
Wow. How did he go undrafted?
LeGarrette Blunt, undrafted.
Well, that's because he punched a guy.
Yeah, for obvious reasons.
Yeah, he punched a guy. So that counts. James Devlin went undrafted. He was a defensive tackle out of Brown. The Patriots moved him to fullback.
Yeah, a pretty good one.
And he was great.
Yes. All right, well, that'll wrap it up.
There
for
you
the
go.
2010 draft. You wanted to go back and think about some great.
Give us another
players.
draft you want us to go through, because guess what? It's me and Bach for the happy hour.
2011 draft coming up next. 2012 draft. Yeah.
Just give us a draft class if you want us to go through. We'll let you know if it was a good draft class or not.
Yeah.
Me and Bach's opinions are the only ones that matter.
We learned the 7th round of the 2010 draft wasn't great.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You didn't know that, did you? You didn't know that coming.
I bet you didn't.
All right, but that'll wrap it up for the Ticket Water Cooler. Tons of fun today, and like Rico said, myself and him, we will be on the airwaves for a little bit more during the day, including the next show here on the Happy Hours. Nick is out, so we're going to take a quick break, and we'll talk to you here in a second.